Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Somebody in the comments has already preempted the intro. YouTube. كيف الحال يا YouTube? How are you doing? You know where this intro came from, bro? When I first started doing YouTube, I was so uncomfortable, like everybody is when they first get on camera. And I was like, well, what do I say, fam? I was like, you know what? Hello, YouTube. Even though just shortly before that, I was like, why do content creators always say hello, YouTube? Like they know they're talking to a human being. Anyways, let's not get into the weeds of content creation, shall we? How are we doing, brothers and sisters? You know what? This video reaction that I'm going to do today is not the type of content I would typically cover. However, it is so relevant and pertinent to things that I love talking about. If you've been watching me for any meaningful period of time, then you know I love discussing, dissecting, analyzing power dynamics in any given context or situation or conversation. But for those of you who might be catching me for the first time, my name is Mahdi to the Journey, and I basically help Muslim men get married. Bottom line. Nice and simple, bruv. Keep it there. And I teach you how to get the best out of your marriage for that matter as well. And just generally live a peaceful life with your wife. Because a happy wife is not a happy life. No, a peaceful wife is a happy life. And you might think, but Mahdi, what does the Piers Morgan and Rabbi Unholy Shmoley, bro? His man's got already messing up, bro. I swear I don't know how you women do makeup every single day. Yeah, do you know how much this annoys me and irritates me? I get the kohol just proper on fleek, and then I blink, and this happens. Now I'm gonna have to turn this way so you guys don't notice it. But this conversation that happened yesterday, I watched it late into the night, and I was like, you know what? I have to do a live on it because it is so relevant to the things I talk about on a daily basis here on YouTube and on Instagram for that matter. And you will see why as we get into it. For those of you returning viewers, by the way, shout out to you guys. I appreciate it. I see some of the names in the chat, by the way, like Ibrahim Khalil. You know what? Let me give some love to the chat right now. Evie, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Long time. OG's out here. Where's Ibrahim? Ibrahim Khalil is OG. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What are you saying, my man? How you doing, Akhi? All right. Now, I have been asked actually a number of times, Mahdi, why are you not giving your 2 cents on the Gaza conflict? And the truth of the matter is, like you, okay, those of you who are shouting and screaming, I'm an ignoramus on this discussion point, on this topic. I am just as emotionally moved, just as passionate, and give from my wealth, make dua, just like you guys do. But when it comes to talking on camera, every man needs to know his strengths and his weaknesses. In fact, Mohammed Hijab himself put a post up. You know, let me not paraphrase the man. Let me just pull it up, bruv, one time. He put a post up on his YouTube channel, a community post, some point last week. Let me see if I can find it. Discussing this exact thing. Bismillah. Stop screen, present, share screen. Let's do this. Bismillah. All right, let's try and find this community post real quick. For those of you who think you have a right to open your mouth just because, you know, you feel some type of way or whatever. Okay. 8 days ago. Okay, here we go. Bismillah. Message to fellow. Can you guys see this? Yeah, you guys can see that. Why is my video on the screen there? Let's move that real quick. Okay, message to fellow pro-Palestinian activists. As English speakers in the age of the internet and social media, we have a disproportionate impact on the discourse comparative to others in the world. What we don't say can be as important, if not more, to what we do say. If you feel excited or angry, don't say anything. I'm reminded of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, part of a long hadith, not long, but You know, this is the end. The end of the hadith goes, وَمَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا أَوْ لِيَصْمُتْ. And whoever believes in Allah and his last day, let him say good or remain silent. And part of saying something good is to be informed on the good that you are saying. Let me just digress real quick before I continue this reading the rest of Hijab's post. Yeah, when you guys watch these debates, as I do, in earnest, and you enjoy watching them, tell the truth, bruv. All of those facts and historical artifacts that they are pointing out, and this article here, and Geneva Convention there, and so and so said this in 1943. Bro, don't pretend like you know exactly. You know what they're talking about. You haven't got a flying falafel what they're talking about. Neither do I. And much respect to those individuals who have put the graft, the work, the effort to actually educate and inform themselves, the likes of our brother Mohammed Hijab, who are now, as a result of that, qualified to speak on the matter, and they should speak on the matter, and they are ambassadors of the religion for us, and they can actually further the cause for the better. Someone like me, so I was actually invited onto a TV channel. I'm not going to say which one, but I was invited onto a TV channel to give my opinion on the Gaza conflict. I was like, bro, who's Mahdi, bro? And why would anyone care what I have to say on it anyway? My opinion and my take is exactly the same as the Muslim masses. But I'm an ignoramus. Our brothers and sisters are being persecuted mercilessly, genocidally. But in terms of like me giving my informed view and going into the history and actually being able to present myself in a respectable manner, I can't. I don't have that. And it's not my place to do it. It's not my place to do it. And you know, you don't want to embarrass yourself, bruv. Like, you start talking about things that you don't understand, you're going to make a fool of yourself and potentially make the situation much worse. Let's continue with this post real quick. If I can find the right bloody layout. Flip me, bruv. Right, here we go. If you feel excited or angry, don't say anything. And then he continues, don't break the law. Don't make generalizations about Jewish people. And you know, on that tangent about generalizations about Jewish people, I have to give a shout out to brother Dilly from the Blood Brothers podcast. I was actually on his podcast once. And he brought a rabbi on from the Jewish community by the name of Rabbi Elhanan Beck. I hope I've pronounced his name correctly. And I was so enlightened by that podcast. Wallah al-azim, I felt ashamed of myself. Uqsim billah, I felt ashamed of myself that when I would see Jews in certain areas of London, where I can't remember the names of the areas of London where there are heavily concentrated populations of Jews, I felt ashamed that I had clumped and lumped all of them into the same box as the Zionists that are perpetrating all of these crimes in Gaza right now. I did not know that this selection, this sect of Jews, which seems to be the Orthodox, from what I understand, the Orthodox sect of Jews, they actually make takfir on these Zionists, bruv. Can you imagine? They have excommunicated them from the religion. They don't even acknowledge or accept them as Jews in the first instance. I cannot emphasize it. You must watch that podcast with Brother Dilly. Just write 5 Pillars on YouTube, or Blood Brothers podcast, and Dilly Hussein and Rabbi Elhanan Beck, and you will be enlightened as much as I was. And you see these Orthodox Jews in Gaza protests with free Gaza signs on their chests, with the Muslims. And can you imagine? But this is not what you would have thought. We digress. Let's get back to the post. You can watch that, find that on YouTube, inshallah. Let me finish this post off. Don't make generalizations about Jewish people. Don't make arguments you haven't rehearsed. Don't make arguments you haven't rehearsed. Don't spread information you haven't checked. Doing any of the above leaves you open to a Zionist counter. Do you see the problem? If you start talking and waffling and opening your big mouth and trying to present yourself as an expert when you really are not, you actually afford the enemy an opportunity to humiliate us. I have a platform and I take my platform seriously, and I don't want to offer the enemy an opportunity to humiliate us. So instead, what I will do is I will share the good work of those informed individuals such as Mohammed Hijab on my platforms, so that I can propagate and push it that way through the informed individuals, not through me, myself. I don't have any background in the history of Gaza or anything like this. I'm just here. I'm here for it, bruv. You understand? Like, I'm behind the generals. I'm here for it. But I don't have the knowledge to stand on the front line like that. That's not my position. I'm not entitled to do that, or qualified to do that for that matter. If you don't understand after that, then whatever, bruv. Yeah, Khalid, that's the one. Stamford Hill. That's the one. Okay, so every man needs to know. He needs to know his situation. He needs to know his station in life, irrespective, regardless. As you are about to see as we get into this debate, one thing you need to understand about debates, and it's so funny, I actually wrote notes on this live before I came to present it, and then my wife sent me a short, one of Hijab's shorts, which said the exact same thing that I'm about to say to you now, and that is, the facts of an argument before you enter a debate are of secondary importance to the way you present it. Why do you think? Look, just pay attention to how I talk. One of the most common compliments that I get from men and women alike is my ability to articulate myself, how I articulate myself. Pay attention to how I talk. I play with the volume of my voice, with my inflections, with my intonations. I speed up, I slow down, I stop at a point for emphasis. Did you see what I done? And all of this is like, how can I say? It puts wrapping paper on the argument. You know, when you get a gift for someone, why do you put wrapping paper on it? Because it just somehow makes the gift feel nicer. It's so illogical. It doesn't make any sense, but it somehow makes the gift feel nicer. And it is of the utmost importance, if you are going to put your feet to the fire and go into a debate with someone about something, particularly on matters as crucial and important as the issue that is going on in Palestine right now, then you better know how to articulate yourself properly. And honestly, I don't know of many individuals who have the concoction of qualities that are required to be so effective in debate as Mohammed Hijab does. What is it? You need to have actual concrete knowledge. That's the foundation. That's the basis. You can't build a house without the actual foundation. So you need to have the concrete knowledge, but then the concrete knowledge is not enough. The concrete knowledge is good. Now we need to build the house. How do we build the house? This is how you articulate and how you actually get your argument across. And you're going to see as we dissect this interview right now, how many gems I'm going to extract from it for you. It is so powerful. So many power dynamics you need to pay attention to, because the next time you get into debate with someone, the next time you get into a negotiation with someone, the next time you want to sell someone on your argument, on your position, you need to know how to do it, because the audience are watching. And trust and believe, the audience don't understand the minutiae of the facts that you're bringing to the table. They are just looking at body language. How did he take it? How did he respond? Does he look defeated? Does he look like he's one up in him? That's all they're paying attention to. And that's why the delivery of your message is of the utmost importance. And what you actually say is of secondary importance, because you can be defeated by someone who is upon falsehood if he knows how to deliver his message better than you. So without further ado, let's get into this shisma, into this interview, inshallah. Bismillah. All right, let me get my custom layout, bruv. Boom, that's better. Let's go. Bismillah.
Tonight on Piers Morgan Uncensored, Israel at war, the uncensored debate. Let him answer.
Let him answer.
2-on-1.
Whoa. Relax, bro. Relax, bro. Relax.
Of kosher hate and the Israel. Tonight on Piers Morgan Uncensored, Israel at War, the uncensored debate. Mohammed Hijab is a Muslim philosopher, scholar, and YouTuber whose first appearance on the show was viewed by
Look at
over
that
8
smile.
million people. Rabbi Shmoley has been called the most famous rabbi in America. He is the international best-selling author of Kosher Hate and the Israel Warrior. Both men are passionate, both men are influential, and they both have vehemently opposing views. Tonight, they go uncensored and head-to-head. We're bringing together two very opinionated, passionate, influential people, very opposing views, and we're going to have a proper debate, and we're going to see if somewhere there is perhaps more that we can agree on than we first imagined. So thank you for joining me, gentlemen. We tossed a coin before we came on air tonight. And
Let's go.
Actually,
Let's go.
You won the toss, and you said you want to go second.
I defer to my brother.
And the way this will work, Mohammed, we have 4.
Ham's not buying none of it, bruv. I defer to my brother. All right, let's start there. Okay. I've actually been on the butt end of this. I experienced this when I was younger. And that is, shall I just be honest with you, bruv? Okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. Bruv, each time I got arrested, yeah, when I took me to the police station, do you know what they would do? What the police would do? Bro, they butter you up beautifully. Is there anything we can do for you, sir? So what do you do for a living, sir? Oh, wow, how many kids you got? Bro, they treat you like they're your mate. They're laughing, catching jokes, trying to soften you up. Why? Because once they, it's typical good cop, bad cop. Once they come in for the kill in the interview room, they're going to put you in a psychological position of you trying to regain that nice behavior that you once experienced from them. And the only way, you say to yourself in your mind, to be able to do that is by being cooperative and answering all their questions. I literally said to one of them once, yeah, a few years ago, trying all this bullshit with me, bro, man's a veteran at this point. I said to him, that's not a good thing. I said to him, please don't talk to me. This is what I want to say. I said, please don't talk to me. And his face went, oh, okay. But I'm not stupid, bruv. Yeah, just if you ever get arrested, yeah, just know that that's the situation. Bismillah.
Sections of this debate, and at the start of each one, you're both.
And I anticipate that that's what Rabbi Unholy Shmoley was attempting to do. By the way, lower his defenses, and Hijab obviously, he's no novice, bruv. He's an OG in the debating game.
Get 1 minute uninterrupted to say what you want to say about each of the themed titles of each block. So you go first, and at the end of your minute, you'll hear a sound, and when you hear that, you end, and then Rabbi Shmoley gets his chance to speak. So the first theme is a simple one. Are Hamas to blame? You have a minute, Mohammed, from now.
From one perspective, Hamas started the battle because obviously from October 7th, even they themselves title it Tufan al-Aqsa or the flooding of al-Aqsa. But from another perspective, if you really look at it from an international law perspective, we're talking about 1967, we're talking about Syria Resolution 242, in which it is actually stated that Israel is a belligerent state because they're occupying the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza. And they have been, so therefore the war has been continual for a very long time according to international law. But let's remove Hamas from the situation altogether. Let's remove them. What do you have? You have the West Bank. And what do you have in the West Bank? You have 187 children who have been put in prisons. They have been put in prisons, according to Bet Salem, without charge. You have 44 children before October the 7th that have been killed before October the 7th in just 2023 alone. So if you remove Hamas from the equation, what you have the West Bank. You remove dominance from the equation, you have the West Bank, and what you have occupation, you have settlement, which you condemned, rightfully so. You condemned that on your show. The settlement's there.
Okay. Rabbi Shmoley.
So again, be honest with yourself, guys, yeah? Remember what I said just now, that what is of the utmost importance is the way you deliver your message, not what you say. How many of you even understood what Mohammed Hijab was referring to there? The references he was making reference to. How much of it did you understand? Nothing. And that's why I say, although your arguments do have to be watertight, you can't come up with any gobbledygook. It is secondary to how you deliver it. And we'll get into that in a second.
1 minute to respond.
Resolution 242 in the UN doesn't mention a single thing about aggression or aggressor. That is...
My guy came with a G-Shock, bruv. He's got the G-Shock one. He's timing him. Now, I want you to pay attention, yeah? That as Rabbi Unholy Shmoley turns to Hijab, okay, to look at him, Mohammed Hijab intentionally turns away. I don't even want to acknowledge you, peasant. Just pay attention.
Total fabrication, and it speaks about disputed territories. But let's be clear. The occupier of Gaza is Hamas. They won an election in 2006, had a civil war with Mahmoud Abbas, took the Palestinian Authority officials, threw them off buildings, killed Muslims, killed Arabs. Mahmoud Abbas is afraid to go to Gaza. He's terrified of Hamas. He hasn't been there since 2007. And let's be clear, Hamas is an abomination to Islam. Sultan Salah al-Din, the greatest Muslim conqueror of all time, after whom the main artery in Gaza is named, he said that you have to allow all prisoners to be redeemed. He would never hold hostages. And remember, Islam is about fair treatment of prisoners of war.
The irony.
Hamas beheaded Thai non-Jewish workers. You asked your last appearance.
Big man, you don't get to talk about, you don't get to say that, okay? Just treatment of it. Yep, I completely agree. You don't get to say that. Pot kettle.
Here for real first-hand sources. I'm the first-hand source. I saw.
Look. Did you see how the rabbi is looking at Muhammad, and Muhammad is making an intentional, not effort, but he's intentionally not acknowledging the rabbi. Immediately off rip, he's not even look like you know, like when something is so unimportant. Imagine that you're at home, yeah, and you're just whatever, you're doing your own thing, and something so trivial happens. Like, it's like, please, bro, don't even involve me. I don't know, the kids make a mess, and something's like, bro, I'm not even interested. I'm watching my program. It signals to the other person that you are so unimportant to me that I can't even be asked to look at you.
In Kibbutz Alumim, they raped women. They had sex with dead women.
And I noticed that the rabbi was getting amped up straight away because of it. Just by Muhammad not looking at him, not making eye. You straight away, he's getting amped up and irked. And this is exactly what you want to achieve in the debate, is that you want to ruffle the feathers of your opponent, because the more effort and energy they put into convincing you of their argument, ironically and paradoxically, the less convinced you are, because you say to yourself, why are they trying so hard to convince me? Is he trying to pull the wool over my eyes? I mean, if this was all true, then surely you wouldn't have to say, try so hard to convince me of whatever you're saying. The sky is blue. We all know that. You don't see anyone in the street like really trying hard to convince the man, yo, look up, the sky is blue. No, the sky is blue. This is just the start of the power games that you're about to see.
Women's bodies, they are evil, and do the right thing and call them evil.
All right, we've had a minute each.
See, time's up. He didn't look at him and say, yeah, okay, bro, your time's up. Time's up, student. Like, entemenu. Just be quiet. You're done now.
Okay, we've got a passionate start. Mohammed, let me ask you about Hamas.
I want to first, before you do that, I want to commend you, Piers, honestly, because bringing me on for the second time.
Piers like that. Did you see his little head movement? Watch this. Just watch this, yeah.
Hamas.
I want to first, before you do that, I want to commend you, Piers, honestly, because...
Is that a little... It's like, oh, thank you, bro. Bro, body language is so exciting. I love it. I love body language. I love dissect. You're like, oh, thank you, man. Let me tell you something. I don't want to spoil it right now, yeah? I'm going to tell you two things, and I'll prove it to you later on. Number one, Piers Morgan fears Mohammed Hijab. He fears him, professionally fears him. Number two, he respects him. And I'll prove it to you later on. He fears him and respects him. And in fact, how can one go without the other? When you respect someone, you tend to fear them as well. It's just the way that it goes. And that is, it's not even actually despite the fact that they had such a heated argument on the last show. It is because of that, in spite of it. Is that the correct? Yeah, I think in spite. It's because of it. And I'll explain to you why.
Bringing me on for the second time, I have to commend you. And the fact that you actually condemned the settlements is very good. But people want to know, do you think the IDF are a terrorist organization?
No.
You don't think they're a terrorist organization? Okay, well, if you look at the UN definition of terrorist organization, they say killing civilians for political
gain. You asked me my opinion.
No, but the UN definition, according to the UN definition, it's killing civilians for political objectives. Why are they not terrorist organizations?
Well, you've asked me a straight question. I don't think they are terror organizations.
So when you see babies like this, the ones who kill babies like this are not terrorists.
It's horrific.
So the people who kill babies like this are not terrorists.
Well, let me respond.
Yes.
Let me respond. We'll both,
it's not your turn.
You can both get into this. here's my response to that. And I thought carefully about this. I've been very honest about my own feelings. I have a real moral quandary about this because as a father, I hate these scenes of kids being killed in Gaza. It's horrific, right? We all know it's horrific.
Well, are they a terrorist organization, though?
I'm about to explain to you what I think my position is. My position is after what happened on October the 7th, it was so barbaric, so disgusting.
So you can kill children?
Well, no, what you can do...
That's exactly what terrorists say, by the way.
I love his use of props, by the way. This is so powerful because it's unexpected and it's graphic. And because it's graphic, once again, you're unsettling your adversary, your opponent. You're throwing them off their game. You're not allowing them to get in their groove because you're throwing a curveball at them, something they didn't expect. No way Piers, or the rabbi for that matter, expected to see. They've censored the images here, and I didn't watch this live, so I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I'm assuming it's some type of it's a gruesome photo of one of the shuhada, of those who have been killed in Gaza right now. That's my assumption, and that throws them off because number one, they weren't expecting it, and number two, how can you not feel empathy when you see something like that? Do you not condemn the killing of babies? Picture of a baby who's been killed.
Answer your question.
This is not a debate. This is someone else becoming the host of the show and now interviewing you. I thought we were being interviewed. Mohammed, you and I are being interviewed. You're not here to interview him.
Mohammed, you can put it down.
So the rabbi now is using Piers's go-to excuse whenever he doesn't want to answer a question. Let me just call Piers out on something here right now. Yeah. And that is when Mohammed cornered him on the last debate that they had, and with the hypothetical question, and then Piers Morgan said, oh, but I don't answer hypotheticals, and obviously that got Ben, shout out to Ben, the editor for Mohammed's shorts, completely exposed him on that when he was given all sorts of hypotheticals previously in his career. Let me make something very clear to you. The only time an individual refuses to answer a question and uses an excuse like, oh, I don't answer hypothetical questions, is when they know that by answering the question, their position will be defeated, annihilated, crushed. So it's like the hit in case of emergency button. Oh, I don't answer hypotheticals. No. You know, if you answer the question, you're dead in the water. So you have to use this lame excuse of not answering. Now the rabbi's picking up on that. It's like, no, you can't interview him. It's so lame. It's like, it's a legitimate question. If your position is truly watertight, then why are you so scared to answer questions? And this is the problem when you are on the losing side of an argument, is that you are going to be scared of answering questions. But you know, I'm going to give Piers his props later on in here. I was actually very surprised. Let's continue.
He's control of his own show. You do this all the time. It will not. I'm not going to let it happen tonight.
All right, Rabbi, let me ask.
Enter menu enter. I am not going to let this happen tonight. Who are you? Are you his dad, bruv? Like, who are you? What have you got to do with the Piers Morgan Uncensored? Who are you? You're just another guest. I will not let this happen. Like, you actually have a say in the matter.
Respect for
No. Stop interviewing the interviewer and be respectful. And be respectful.
Let me respond.
Is it a terrorist organization?
Okay, I have to point out again. So the rabbi is raising his voice, okay? And Mohammed is looking at him now. He's looking at him, but he's responding to him calmly. Don't get involved. Don't get involved. The one who is able to respond with the least amount of effort is the one who has control of the dynamic of the conversation. The one who is losing control, who feels the need to emphasize their argument by raising their voice, is precisely because they are losing control of the argument already so early in. Like, they've already conceded 3 goals, bro. Ronaldo got a hat-trick straight away, like in the first 10 minutes. That they feel the need to raise their tone because they can feel that they're losing control of the game already.
No,
Why not?
I do not believe so.
They kill civilians for political
You have to
objectives.
let me answer.
Go ahead.
Okay, here's my answer to that. When Hamas did what they did, 2 things. One, Hamas knew exactly what Israel's response would be. they knew they would come incredibly hard back.
I don't absolve them.
Wait a minute. I'm not absolving anybody.
I'm not absolving them.
Yeah, okay.
I'm saying the West Bank is West Hamas.
I know.
West Hamas.
You have to let me answer.
You got 44 children killed like this in the West Bank.
This is ridiculous.
Wait a minute, Rabbi Shmoley. Let me just ask you quickly.
Go ahead.
I believe Israel has a right to defend itself from after that terror
But
attack.
can they kill children?
Wait a minute.
Can they?
Wait a minute. Particularly after the Hamas spokesman only last week said that they want to do this again and again and again.
All right. This is the first point of the conversation, that you realize that Piers is in a submissive position to hijab, okay? And that he is attempting to win hijab's favor. And I will prove it to you. Let's rewind 10 seconds.
But can they kill children?
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. How did he say it? He's going to repeat this pattern over and over in the conversation. He didn't say, wait a minute, or wait. He said, wait a minute. Let's play it again. Pay attention.
I believe Israel has a right to defend itself from after that terror
But
attack.
can they kill children?
Wait a minute.
Can they?
Wait a minute. It's the sound of an exasperated mum who's lost control over her unruly son. And that's a very apt example for the purpose of this discussion. Not that hijab is Piers' son in any way, shape, or form, but that they are in Piers' show, or on Piers' show, and technically in his frame. And yet the exasperated mum is losing control over her children, in this instance, over his guests. And he is literally, please, Tommy, please let me talk, Tommy. It's not, shut up, Tommy. It's, please, Tommy, wait a minute, Tommy. This is going to happen over and over. We'll continue.
Wait a minute. Particularly after the Hamas spokesman only last week said that they want to do this again and again and again. That's an existential threat to Israel.
Why don't they fight them man to man? Man to man. Fight them man to man. Why do you have to kill children?
Wait a minute.
Why do you have to kill children?
Let me answer you, Mohammed.
Why?
Let me answer you.
Of a ratio of 100 to 1, by the way.
Let me answer you.
100 to 1 ratio.
Let me answer you.
Go ahead.
Otherwise, it's pointless.
Go ahead.
So, I agree that Israel.
I could stop this every 2 seconds, yeah, but I don't want to, for the sake of, it's going to break the flow of the show. I could stop this every 2 seconds and show you where this is happening, but I'm only going to pull out the major ones.
Israel must defend itself. I agree they have to get rid of Hamas because Hamas is wedded to an ideology of existentially removing Israel.
Is this acceptable?
Wait a minute. I'm coming to your answer.
Did you see that again? Wait a minute. Just listen.
Ideology of existentially removing Israel.
Is this acceptable?
Wait a minute. I'm coming to your answer.
Is this acceptable?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute, Tommy. I'm coming, Tommy. Please, Tommy. Tommy, I'm sorry. I know I said we'll go to the park, but just wait a minute, Tommy. Please, Tommy, please. Please, Tommy, don't make me call daddy. Or in this instance, don't make me get security. Please, Tommy, stop humiliating me in front of everyone. Please, Tommy.
Coming to your answer.
This is not even a
conversation.
Wait a minute.
Listen, I came all the way from the United States for this debate.
Let me finish.
And he will not let anyone else speak. And if that's how these shows work, no. You are rude, you are a bully, you just are trying to interrupt people. I'm going to have a chance to speak, or there's no...
Brilliant reaction from Hijab. You are rude, you are a bully, from the rabbi. What's Hijab's reaction? Boredom. It's like, okay, you know, like when you're, I don't know, you've got little kids and the kids are like making a ruckus, making a racket at home, and they're like, okay, it's fine, they're children. It's the exact response. That's what that is. He's looking ahead. Let's go. Look at the face, bruv. Look at the face. This is a face of boredom. That's what that is. It's a face of, your argument is so unintelligible that I risk dying here in this very room of boredom. That's what that face is.
Dude, you are a bully. You just are trying to interrupt.
You see that? Nah, yes, okay, yalla. Kamalti? You finished yet? No, okay, yalla, finish.
I'm going to have a chance to speak, or there's no point in doing this show.
Rabbi
He did this last time and you allowed him to, but I won't allow him to, because I will never be bullied by a...
Ben saying, why? Why has the mum got a white English accent? Because, bro, it's only the white mums that I see in town who have these issues. Did you ever see an ethnic mum have this problem? Bro, she takes her slipper off one time. It's like, come here, boy, slap.
At the moment,
let me be clear.
Wait a minute. No one's allowing me to answer your question.
Go ahead, sir.
And it's this.
Go ahead.
I believe Israel has a right to defend itself.
Okay.
I agree that they need to get rid of Hamas.
In this way?
Who are terror groups.
In this way.
Well, here's the quandary for me morally, right?
Why is it a quandary, though?
I'll tell you why.
With Hamas, it's not a quandary.
I'll tell you why. Because in war,
it's a quandary, though.
Wallahi, you have to pay. Listen, I'll tell you why. Oh my God, it reminds me of the white mum who's losing control. Tommy, please. I'm telling you, Tommy, just listen to me, Tommy. Please, Tommy, please.
who are terror groups.
In this way.
Well, here's the quandary for me morally, right?
Why is it a quandary, though?
I'll tell you why.
With Hamas, it's not a quandary.
I'll tell you why.
Because
Because in war, when you declare war, as Britain did with the Nazis,
100-to-1 ratio.
No,
100
of course,
to 1.
there are
Combatant to non-combatant
a
ratio.
far higher number of children in Gaza, proportion to population, than almost anywhere in the world.
Piers,
So when they go after Hamas,
give me a chance.
Very sadly, Mohammed, let me finish.
This is becoming
finish.
No.
Very sadly,
You are the one who insisted
Rabbi
on
Shmoley,
equal time. I never did,
Rabbi
but you will not
Shmoley,
respect
I
equal
will come
time.
to you
He's gonna
literally in
ask you
30
afterwards.
seconds.
He's going to ask you a
In
question.
30 seconds, I'll come to you.
He's going to come to you afterwards.
Let me finish, please. I am
Calm
in charge
down.
here, Mohammed. So my final point on this is, unfortunately, in war, civilians
100
get
to 1
killed.
ratio. 100 to 1 ratio.
Yes.
100 to 1 ratio.
Yes, they get killed.
No, not 100-to-1 ratio. It's an unacceptable
Civilians
ratio.
get killed.
Piers,
Rabbi
listen.
Shmoley, in you come.
You know, Pierce, can I say respectfully, and I mean this as no insult, I'm amazed that you're intimidated by this man. I feel
That the rabbi picked up on that is very telling. And I'm sure you don't have to be some like expert to have seen that. Like, but the rabbi, he's clearly an intelligent man. I don't know him from Adam, but you know, he hasn't got to here without being an intelligent man, having an IQ of some level or some sort. Okay, and he can sense from the energy in the room that Piers is indeed intimidated by hijab in some meaningful manner. And like I say, it's very difficult not to be intimidated by your adversary when you know deep down in your heart that your adversary is on the right side of the fence and you're defending an argument that is indefensible. Of course you're going to be cacking it.
No, I feel, well, with all due respect,
He's not answering the question.
if I
wouldn't bring him back if I was intimidated.
If I can speak.
And he raises a very valid question, by the way.
No, he does not, because
A shout out to this brother here from the comments. Saifullah Abbas says, the funniest part is Muhammad is focusing on Piers and ignoring the rabbi. And the rabbi is the one crying about being bullied. Touche, bro. Touche. Well said.
because I have, before he did this debate, he went on X on Twitter and said, I'm only doing it if there's equal time. And then he is violating that. I never asked for equal time. I just want to be heard, but he won't even let me be heard. Let me explain something to you. You said in a video the other day, and you can look me in the eye.
He's still not looking at him.
You said that Jews are now trembling.
I
Muhammad,
didn't say that.
no, don't interrupt me.
I didn't say that.
I am not
I didn't say
trembling.
that.
It's all
I
on
didn't say
my
Jews.
it's all my Instagram page.
Don't lie.
Now,
Don't
you see this yarmulke? It means
a
that
lie.
I represent something. I'm an ambassador. You're
You're
an
lying.
ambassador of
You're
Islam.
lying.
You are talking about a religion
lying.
that started the world's first.
This is very powerful how Muhammad is responding now. Okay, so I don't know what backwards and forwards went online, or I really don't know. But Muhammad is saying that he's lying. Okay, the effort to which he is giving his response is critical. When you know someone's lying about you, the irony of trying hard to convince them that they're lying, or convince the audience, I should say, that this individual is lying, is that the harder you try to convince the audience, the more the audience wonder, why are you trying so hard to convince us? Why are you trying so hard to manipulate us? So inside, I can only imagine Muhammad's boiling. Okay, I can only imagine he's boiling, but he can't let that show, because if he does, he will inadvertently draw attention to himself and make the audience wonder, why are you trying so hard to convince us for? Maybe you did say something like that, if not those words exactly.
universities,
You're lying.
educated women. Fatima started the first university in the 9th century in Fez, Morocco.
Irrelevant.
Now we have a man who says, if he's representative of
Irrelevant.
Islam, he goes to Speaker's Corner. He speaks about whether 5-year-old girls are old enough for sex.
Here
He
we go.
says that gay men are dying of
What's that got to
AIDS
do with
as
anything?
a
I don't believe in
punishment
that.
from God.
No,
And I'm sorry
I've
to have to
never
say
said
this
that.
to the
Never said that.
listeners,
Never said
that blood is gushing from their backsides.
Where's the
They're
transcript?
better off. You know what it
I've
is?
never said that.
Because you
Never said
are
that.
desecrating
Never said
a
that.
great
Rabbi Shmoley.
religion. Now let me tell you
No,
why.
no.
Let me tell you why it appeal. Why it's here. Because he will
Bring it
defend
back to the
Hamas. I
debate.
will. I
Yeah,
will.
bring it back to the topic.
He will defend
You're running away.
Hamas's butchery,
You're running away.
savagery.
Running away.
He doesn't care that
Running
Hamas
away.
is an abomination.
It's very good that he keeps throwing these little interjections as well. You're running away, you're lying, you're this, you're that, the third. Once again, throwing his opponent off, not allowing his opponent to get a sound trail of thought out of his mouth without being undisturbed. That's why they have segments in debates, like you get a minute here, you get a minute here, because otherwise it just turns into this mess. One of the comments in this video here said, this wasn't a debate, this was an argument between two uncles at the Eid barbecue, bro. That's what this was. It's spot on, to be honest with you. Let's continue. By the way, yeah, we got 300. I got 318 of you in here right now and 87 likes. That is unacceptable. So do your boy a solid. It's free. It doesn't cost you a penny. And hit the like button. Bismillah.
Running away.
To Islam because
Running away.
Islam,
But he hasn't done
the
that.
children in Gaza are dying because Hamas uses them as bulletproof vests.
Oh, miskin. We're forced to kill them. It's just, the children are dying because Hamas used them as bulletproof vests, because we are forced to pull the trigger. We are victims of our own trigger fingers. Pooh.
Okay.
The United States and France and England said yesterday that the Al-Shifa hospital is a military base.
Okay.
It has a tiny veneer.
Let him have his minute.
It has a tiny veneer of emergency rooms.
Okay.
Not a minute.
But underneath all of it is a military base.
have a minute
And let me
to
tell you
speak.
something. If it's true that any of these countries care about the Muslims in Gaza because they believe what he's saying, that Israel's killing them, this is a map of all the countries that took place last week in Riyadh to save the Palestinians of Gaza from Israel. Do you know how many? That's Israel, a tiny thing. You know how many of them took in even one Palestinian from Gaza? Zero, nothing.
All right.
Look at that map.
Let me-
because they
Stop
want
pointing,
to,
stop
the
pointing.
Arabs
Let
want
me-
to see,
all right,
no, I'm
Rabbi
pointing,
Shmoley.
the
Hang on,
Arabs want to
stop
see
pointing.
Rabbi
Hamas.
Shmoley.
Stop pointing, stop
Don't
pointing.
intimidate me. Don't bully
Okay,
me. Thank
okay,
you, Mohammed.
Fascinating that he said, don't intimidate me. He did not say, don't try to intimidate me. He said, don't intimidate me, which means by extension that you're intimidated. And to be fair, if you've ever met Hijab in person, the brother's 6'7", Allahumma barak, yeah. He's massive. He's absolutely enormous, Allahumma barak. Like, I very rarely have to look up to a man when I speak to him. I had to crane my neck up when I'm at Hijab. So he does have a physically imposing presence. But to be quite honest with you, when you're on the wrong side of the fence, like I said, having a physically imposing presence on the other side of that fence just makes things infinitely worse.
Let me ask
Don't
you,
intimidate me.
Stop pointing.
I'm not
guys,
afraid of
I've
you.
got to be able to ask
Thank
questions.
you.
It's a debate.
Let
Let's
him have
come back.
1 minute.
Let me
He
ask you
said
one specific question which he raised, which I don't think actually is your belief. I don't think you have defended what Hamas did on October the 7th.
Yeah, I haven't.
I think you share our
Are they
view.
evil? Are they
Unless
evil?
I'm wrong.
Are they
spoken
evil?
about this
Are
before.
they evil?
Stop
Are
speaking.
they
Is it me
evil?
or him I'm
Are they
speaking to?
evil?
Stop
Rabbi
speaking to
Shmoley,
this. Stop
Hamas
speaking.
You're
evil.
now doing
Stop
what you
speaking.
accused him of doing.
Stop
So
speaking.
let me ask you, what is your view of Hamas post-October 7th?
I think that they, just like anybody else, have to be examined. Have to look at all.
Then
the
what's your
pros and cons.
opinion about them?
Yeah, I think that here's my opinion. Let me be straightforward about this, right? Anybody who kills civilians, anybody, whether it's the IDF, I'm consistent in this manner. If it's proven beyond reasonable doubt that these people have killed civilians in both of our faith traditions, in Islam and Judaism, in the Quran is mentioned, in the Prophet, he said it himself, you cannot kill a woman, you cannot kill a child. I condemn them. I condemn them. That's what I do. Straight away, whether he's Muslim, whether he's non-Muslim, whether he's Christian or anybody else. I've already said that. So I'm not being inconsistent here. My question is, if that is exactly the barometer that we're using, if that's the moral reasoning that we're using, then we have to say, look, if you have a 100-to-1 ratio, and that's what it is, a 100-to-1 ratio. And you know how I got this figure? I got this figure from the IDF themselves because they have reported
Okay,
to
but
the...
let me ask you this. does Hamas deserve to stay in power after what they did?
I don't think we should have Hamas in power. What I think we should,
Okay.
no, let me tell you.
How do you get rid of them?
We should have a Palestinian Authority with bigger armies
Okay.
and airports
Okay.
with proper tanks and with airplanes like every country.
Like
in the
that
world.
would ever happen.
Right.
Absolutely.
Man, you see, that's the ultimate nightmare for the Israeli state. Yes, we've gone from bad to worse. In their minds, we're going from bad to worse.
They won't allow it.
How do you get
The Israelis won't allow
How do you
that.
get rid of Hamas?
What you don't do, I can tell you for a fact, is try and kill 30,000 of them with a 100-to-1 ratio. Because if you do that, then you're committing genocide. Because you'd have to kill 3 million Palestinians.
Rabbi Shmoley?
Do you know even?
All right, let's not let that point fly over our head real quick. Yeah, Elon Musk was on a podcast with what's his name? That nerdy guy, black belt jiu-jitsu. I think his name is Lex Friedman. He was on a podcast with him not too long ago. I don't know if Lex is Jewish, by the way. He may well be. Anyway, Lex asked him, what's your view on the Palestinian conflict, and what solutions do you see, or what solutions are there? And he gave a very so fascinating, it's so painfully obvious yet fascinating at the exact same time, which is, he said, well, you know, what you don't do is go and kill babies, because if you kill babies, for each Hamas member that you kill, 3 new ones are born. That's just the way it goes, because they saw their siblings die in front of them. It's so logical. It's so painfully obvious. You know what it's like? It's like this. It's like, you know, when you go to leave the house, yeah? And you're like, yo, wife, where's my keys? I can't see them anywhere. Where are they? And then it turns out that they're in your hand. That's what it's like. It's like that.
Do you even know the definition of genocide?
I haven't said genocide.
What's it? You just said it.
No, I said if you.
What is the definition of genocide? What's the definition?
I said if you do.
You always claim to be an academic. You're always touting your Oxford credentials. What is the definition
All right.
of
Conditional.
He said conditional.
genocide? Genocide
If you
is
do
where.
it,
Genocide is where.
you'll be genocidal.
Genocide is where
I didn't accuse.
Let him speak.
you target an ethnicity for extinction. Ethnicity side murder.
Yes, if you do it.
Yeah,
If you kill
excuse me,
3 million
now,
Palestinians, are you genocidal?
There are one.
If you
point-
kill 3
there
million
are
Palestinians,
one-
are you
there
genocidal?
are one point.
Yeah, you guys in the comments are saying Lex is Jewish, Orthodox Jew, or secular Jew? Secular Jew. Okay. Well, the majority of the individuals who claim to be Jewish are secular Jew anyway. They're certainly not Orthodox Jews. It's fascinating that the Orthodox Jews actually make takfir of them. Like, they're excommunicated from the religion. Fascinating.
Take over each
There are
other.
1.8
What's the
million
Holocaust of genocide?
Muslim
What's the Holocaust of
Arabs who
genocide?
live in total peace in Israel as equal citizens. In fact, Israel practiced reverse discrimination against the Jews because the Jews are
What's that got to
conscripted
do
to
with my
fight
question?
Hamas. So, if
Would you-
Israel,
okay.
excuse me, no, you will not interrupt me.
Stop
If Israel,
it,
you
man.
will
Stop
not
it.
interrupt
Stop it,
me.
man. You're
You
embarrassing
will
yourself. You're
not
embarrassing
interrupt
yourself.
me. You will not
You're
interrupt me. You will
embarrassing
not bully me. You will not interrupt me.
Stop
I am not
talking, man.
afraid of
Yes,
you.
you do.
Stop
Don't
saying
talk
the
over
Jews
Stop
tremble.
shaking.
Now, let me be
Stop
clear.
shaking.
Let me be clear.
Never even shout over each
Stop
other.
shaking.
Then you need to control your guests with all due respect.
Literally
Okay, he
control both-
said
need to control both
he
guests.
said equal time, and there's no equal time. Now,
There's no equal time.
if
on this
Israel
bit,
was
right?
interested in a genocide of the Palestinians, why do they have 1.8 million equal Arab Muslim citizens who are in the Israeli Supreme Court, who are 1/3 of the medical
Is that a
profession? Do you
To
know
me
that?
or
Do you
to
know that? Do you know that an Arab judge put the president of Israel in jail for accused rape? That was Moshe Katsav. That's how little Israel's an apartheid state, genocidal state. This man sitting next to me, Mohammed Hijab, will not distinguish between self-defense when Hamas comes to brutalize and murder your people
Let him
versus
speak.
when an army
Okay.
like
Wait,
Britain,
wait,
like
wait.
France, stops,
All right, but Rabbi Shmoley,
retaliate
Can we go
to
for the-
simply
can we
protect
go back
their
to
So Muhammad said that, let him speak. Do you know what that's akin to? That's akin to, once again, when your kid's having a hissy fit and your wife wants to do something to stop the kid from having a hissy fit, and you're like, just leave her, it's fine. Let her get it out of her system. She'll cry herself to sleep. It's literally like, she'll cry. Let him, it's okay. He's gone over his time, but it's fine. She's been crying for too long, but it's okay. She'll cry herself to sleep. He's going to cry himself to sleep.
Rabbi Shmoley, I have to
You
say,
don't believe the Jews should have a right to defend
Rabbi
themselves.
Shmoley,
Say it
Don't
outright
say
then.
that.
Then say it.
The Jews have the right to defend themselves.
They
just said
do.
it.
Yes, they do.
So
of
that's
course.
why we have to go.
Everybody has a right to
So
defend
that's why
themselves.
we have
Jews
to
have
go
the right
into
to defend
Gaza to
themselves.
stop
wait.
Hamas.
Yes, they
correct?
can go
Wait,
into Gaza
Rabbi
and stop
Shmoley.
Hamas.
But
No, they
Rabbi
can go in, but
Shmoley.
don't. No, hey, hold on.
But-
Let me tell you my
Say
position.
it.
Let me tell you my.
So they can go in. Thank
He
God.
asked me a question.
Go
Can I
ahead.
answer,
Yes.
can I answer it? Yes, they can go into even fight. Even Abu Ubaidah, the general of Hamas, he said, "Nahnu fi intidarikum" in Arabic. We are waiting for you. That's why he's being
Okay.
said. Hold on. You've asked me a question.
Go ahead.
They do have a right. What I've been advocating all along is face-to-face confrontation. What I'm against, hold on, excuse me. What I'm against is 100-to-1 ratio, because if you have 100,
we're going to come to this in block two.
Let me,
all right.
Okay, fine.
Hamas is hiding under hospitals.
Okay.
What face-to-face confrontation?
You know, they're hiding under hospitals, fam. You know, there's nothing we could. We found a hummus, like Bassam Yusuf said, hiding under the hospital. Allahu Akbar. Yani, we found a Hamas hiding under the hospital, so we decided to bomb the whole hospital because this makes sense.
Right.
Hamas is
Rabbi
shooting
Shmoley,
children who are going south.
I'm okay with face-to-face
Block
confrontation.
two
I like it.
Block two is
It's the honourable way.
Block two is exactly this question.
Go ahead, let's go.
My only observation,
He hasn't had
Rabbi
his minute.
Shmoley, so far, you're being more personal and ad hominem than he is.
With all
Right?
due respect, I think that's extremely unfair
Well,
because
you are.
every time I say anything, no, listen.
And you keep answering for him, when in fact, when you actually ask him questions,
Because
he
he
gives
won't
you straight
answer.
answers.
Now the rabbi's getting told off by the headmaster. He's getting told off.
If
But he's giving you straight
Mohammed Hijab wants to be a representative and ambassador of Islam, then he has to take responsibility for his
I don't want to
position.
be any of that.
He actually said that
I
Islam
represent
believes in death. You're not
Okay.
going to beat us because we want to die. We're
All right.
prepared to lose thousands
Rabbi
of
Shmoley,
people.
we're taking
Is
a break.
Islam really a religion of death?
We're
You
taking
are
a
a
break.
poor ambassador of your
Martyrdom,
faith.
martyrdom.
Hey.
You believe in martyrdom.
Of course.
All right.
You want to be a martyr?
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to die
Martyr-
fighting
do you
the
know-
Jews?
I didn't say Jews. Who said Jews?
Okay,
Do you know
you
what
want to be a
martyr
martyr
is?
where? What
does
Wait,
a
yeah,
martyr-
what does it
yes.
mean? Martyr means someone who dies
Prophet
for his
Muhammad
faith.
told us.
You notice the victim mindset, by the way. He said, "Do you want to be a martyr?" He said, "Yes." He wasn't satisfied with that because he agreed with him and said, "Yes." So, do you want to kill Jews? Immediately bring it, bruv. You know what, Rabbi Al-Hanan Beck? I hope I pronounced his name correctly. With all respect to him, whom Dili Hussein interviewed on his podcast. He said, and I'm paraphrasing what he said on Dili's podcast. He said, "Anti-Semitism is dead. And the only time it comes back to life is when Israel does something in Gaza." I'm paraphrasing what he said. Those were not his exact words, but it was something to that effect. You can watch the podcast on 5 Pillars thing. Every time Israel violate Gaza, anti-Semitism comes back to life again. He literally said, as soon as the Israelis began attacking Gaza, he said, I was walking in the streets of London and someone said to me behind my back, Hitler, because he wears the classical Orthodox Jewish clothing. You can tell that he's a Jew. The hat, the black and white, the black suit, white shirt, long hair, etc. The only time anti-Semitism, this monster, comes back to life is when Israel does some madness. They are the biggest perpetrators of anti-Semitism, they themselves.
من قتل دون ماله فهو شهيد. Whoever dies defending themselves, defending their wealth,
Is that what you
is a
want?
martyr. No.
Do you want to die defending Islam, or do you want Islam to be a religion of peace?
Hold on. This child for us is a martyr.
You're right.
Do you agree or not?
Because Hamas is using him as a human shield.
Really?
Yes, Hamas is hiding behind him.
Let's
correct.
go to the next section.
Condemn
All
Hamas.
right, let's time out.
Come on, man.
Let's try and talk over each other because the viewers can't hear it, right? I don't mind the passion.
Sure.
I don't mind the debate. I don't mind the fire. I do mind if we can't hear what you're saying. It's pointless.
Yeah, let's do the minute.
Let's go to the second topic, right? This time,
Has he had his minute, by the way?
Rabbi Shmoley, you will go first with a minute to say what you want to say, and then Mohammed, Hijab, you'll get yours. So the theme is this, and the question is this for Block 2. Has Israel gone too far in its response to the October the 7th terror attacks? Okay, Rabbi Shmoley, you have a minute starting now.
I just came here by taxi and passed the statue of Winston Churchill. That's in the lifetime of our parents, okay? He is the greatest British statesman of the 20th century. You know what he did when he had a genocidal threat, knowing that Hitler wanted to eviscerate, annihilate Britain? He carpet bombed all of Germany, Dresden, Essen, Hamburg. Israel has not even gotten close to that. Israel does not send its Air Force to carpet bomb cities. It sends in its military. I have a friend who died, six children, 39, because he was personally trying to stop a Hamas terror tunnel. Israel is surgical. Israel is only going after the fighters. Israel is opening humanitarian corridors for the Palestinians to go south. Hamas shoots them and makes sure they don't go. Hamas builds its military structures. Right, Shifa Hospital is this much hospital and it's this much military. They love using Palestinians, and that's why they've stolen their money. They got about $16 billion from the international community. There isn't one bomb shelter in Gaza. They don't care about the civilians at all. Israel's doing the right thing.
Mohammed,
Hamas.
you have a minute.
What I'm saying is the 100
Did you hear the little tick from the G-Shock watch, bruv? Man came prepared.
100-to-1 ratio comes from the following figures. We know that 10,000 civilians have died. Of them, according to the IDF, as reported by The Guardian, 60 dozens, they say, about 60 Hamas died, which we're being liberal by saying 100-to-1 figures. For every one Hamas, you have to kill 100 civilians. That's effectively what we're saying. If the trajectory continues as it is, then you have to kill 3 million Palestinian civilians in order to kill 30,000 Hamas fighters. If you want to extinguish them, eviscerate them, annihilate them, destroy them, you have to do that. Now you have.
So I'm glad at this point here, when Mohammed was quoting this very important point, that if you want to eviscerate Hamas, you're going to have to kill 3 million Palestinians, that he slowed his pace down. Because if there's one criticism I would have, and again, I haven't been in a debate at this level, so I don't know. It's like me saying, oh yeah, Adesanya should have done this in the fight, whilst man just a gym bro. Do you know what I mean? So my opinion doesn't really matter in that regard from an experience perspective. However, if there's one thing I would say is that too often, Mohammed would speak too fast. Now, maybe that's because there's a time limit and you want to get out as much as possible or say as much as possible. But there is something to be said of slowing time down by slowing your speech down. The faster you speak, the more people are lost by what you say. The slower you speak, the more you pull them in. SubhanAllah, the Prophet was Jawami al-Kalim, like few words with great meaning. Now, obviously, this is the Prophet ﷺ, but just to highlight that point, that when you slow down, he slowed down his speech and raised his voice, opened up his body, and even repeated the statement twice. That caught your attention. But everything he said quickly kind of goes over your head. And again, that's the Rabbi is just speaking with one single pace, one flow. And that's why you don't remember most of what he says.
Have Herzog, who is the president that you interviewed, saying that all Palestinians, they are responsible. This man is being more slippery. He's being more slippery than the lubricants that he sells in his daughter's sex shop. And that's the reality of the situation.
Did you really just say that? You're obsessed with Jewish sex. It's bizarre. Yesterday, you actually spoke about Ben Shapiro.
Did you really just out man like that? Big man thing.
Shapiro's wife.
Yes,
you
I did.
actually you said
Yes,
to
I
Ben
did.
Shapiro,
Yes, I did.
your wife's a carrot. Well, you're more of a man. Is that what you're trying to
Yes,
say?
I did.
All right. Then you said that Jews have BDSM. You're speaking about
No, can we
get it
sexual
back?
I didn't say
lubricants
Jews
while
have
people are
BDSM.
dying. You know, Mohammed, get your head out of the Jewish bedroom. It's really bizarre.
Can we get it? Can we get it?
Let me be
Anyway.
clear.
No.
Sexual lubricants? How
You
embarrassing.
sell dildos, don't you?
Can we get it
how
back?
sell dildos,
embar-
don't you?
Can we get it back to
you
the
sell
topic?
dildos.
You speak about 5-year-old girls being
No, I
ready
know
for
it's
sex.
five.
Come on,
That's a lie.
listen. Let's
You're
go
a
back.
liar.
Let's go
You're
back to
a
the
liar.
issue.
You're a liar.
Let's go back
Let
to
me
the
ask
issue.
you a
Let's go back to
question.
the issue.
Let me ask you a question.
Why are you shaking? I've got a
Mohammed,
vibrator in your pocket.
come on,
I think he's got one of his daughter's
Mohammed,
vibrators in his
come on,
pocket.
leave him, please.
You are
Let-
just
it's stupid.
humiliating
We're going
yourself.
to cut
Go back
this
to the issue.
We'll cut
So I don't know how, or he dug all of this out, yeah, but clearly Hijab done his homework. And again, it has nothing to do with the argument or the debate. And you could even make an argument, in fact, that maybe this detracts from the quality of the arguments that he's putting forward, precisely only because it's it's sexual stuff. Basically, it's a slightly lewd topic. But from a perspective of unnerving your opponent, it is so effective because it calls into question this guy's entire credibility. Like, how are you a religious figure of a major religion, but you or your family or whatever it is has a sex shop? It's weird. And again, because the audience will not remember the majority of the minutia, the details that you point out in your argument, they're just going to remember like the things that hit them. I guarantee you, everyone now remembers and knows that Rabbi Holy Shmoley has a sex shop. I don't even know if it is him who has the sex shop. It might be his daughter or whatever. But in the audience's mind, we're confused. We're like, one of you, man, either you or your daughter, or maybe you and your daughter together has a sex shop. That's weird. So now we think he's weird by default, irrespective of what he now continues to say moving forward in this discussion. Called into his question his entire credibility.
all this stuff.
Very powerful.
So there's no point.
Why? Why?
No,
Leave
cut
it.
it
People
out.
should see
Uncensored,
what he
uncensored.
represents.
There's no
It is
point
uncensored.
abusing each other personally.
Oh, no,
Okay, Piers.
I want to stick to the debate.
Let's get to the debate.
You don't want to do it? Well, end the debate.
Let's get to the debate.
Right, let me ask.
He's
another
just getting
question.
tired. He's getting fed up.
I don't disagree with you that so far it seems to me
Yes.
obviously
Yes.
a fact that many more Palestinian civilians, innocent people, are getting killed as retribution by the Israelis for what happened on October the 7th. That's indisputable, right? Their argument is that they're going after a terror organization, Hamas, and unfortunately in war, as Rabbi Shmoley correctly said about what Churchill did in World War II.
Churchill was wrong.
A lot of
Churchill was wrong.
Okay.
Was he a war criminal?
Yes, he was.
All
Yes, he
right.
was.
Churchill was a war
Yes, he
criminal.
was. Churchill was a war
Were all
criminal.
the British
Let me
people
do
who
the
lived there
Churchill
question.
was a war
war
criminal.
criminals? Okay,
Let me do
and
the
George
question.
VI was George VI war
All of them
criminal?
war criminals.
Really?
Like it's like all of them. Yes, of
So
course.
anyone that,
his
hang
guy-
on, hang
Yes,
on,
war
Rabbi
criminal,
Shmoley.
war criminal, war
Let me ask.
criminal.
So let me get this
Absolutely.
straight. You think
Collective punishment.
You think Winston Churchill,
Was a war criminal. Yes.
in standing up to the Nazis,
By killing the
who killed
babies,
12 million people,
I believe he was a war
that by doing what he did was a war criminal?
by killing in Dresden and Hamburg,
It's-
but by indiscriminate killing, collective punishment. My morality says that's impossible.
Okay, that means the British people who
That's impossible.
supported him
Can't
and
kill
voted him
children.
in, they were
So this is where I was like, right, we're taking this down. This is a techie taking this down a techie route, because the British people have a great affinity to Winston Churchill, even though I'm completely of the same opinion, by the way. We haven't even got to what he did in India through starving them. Yeah. How many people? 5 million people? We haven't even got to that discussion. Irrespective of that, because of the general sentiment that the British public have towards Winston Churchill, to be on the other side of that argument, people are going to be like, yo, why are you saying that? So that's why what comes out of Hijab's mouth next is very important, that he articulates his argument concisely and precisely. And he does so, as you'll see. But yeah, just to point that out, when you're playing with emotional memories, that's what it is. Winston Churchill is an emotional memory for the British public.
My morality says that's
just a second,
impossible.
just a second.
That's what I
But
believe.
the British people,
Yeah.
You believe he was a war criminal?
Yes.
So therefore, your belief is that no retaliatory action.
No,
by
you can
any-
retaliate to the man, not to the babies.
Tell me a war in history
Yes.
where civilians haven't been killed.
No, I'm not saying civilians haven't been killed. It's
Just
about this
war
ratio.
or
It's about the
otherwise.
ratio. It's
No,
about the
no,
ratio.
what is the
What
ratio?
about the
What's the
ratio?
ratio?
100 to 1 is unacceptable.
Actually,
What is the
morally-
ra- what is-
100 to 1 is
what is-
unacceptable.
Actually, morally,
100 to 1
accept. Okay, well,
101 is an
101 is
hang
invention.
on, Rabbi Shmoley. So let me give you a ratio.
Yeah.
How many people did the Nazis kill?
I don't know.
You don't
12
know how
million.
many
We know
Nazis
We
killed?
know they killed 6 million.
They killed 12 million people.
I don't know. So we don't know.
including
exactly.
6 million Jews.
Sure,
Right?
sure.
So
12 million non-combatants.
how many died in Dresden? How many civilians died in Germany? Do you know?
I don't know exactly.
Right. So you don't actually know what you're talking about.
I do know what I'm talking about because
You
I know
called
in Dresden
Churchill-
and Hamburg,
You said
If
it's
he's
about you. There's some wrong.
yeah, go ahead.
There's some wrong.
Yeah, go
You
ahead.
said it's to do with the
Ratios.
ratio.
Yes.
You don't know the ratios. When
No,
you
no,
call,
I know for a fact.
you
Dresden
call
and
Winston Churchill
What
a
are the
criminal.
numbers?
Dresden and
What are the
Hamburg,
numbers?
Dresden
Wait a
and
minute,
Hamburg?
Rabbi Shmoley. When you
Dresden-
call Winston Churchill a criminal,
Yeah, I believe
you're
a war
basing
criminal.
it on ratios you don't even know what they are.
No, I know for no. There's difference of opinion among the scholars.
No, there isn't.
There is difference.
Say- Tell us the
Of course.
opinions.
What
What
do
are
you
they?
mean?
Tell us what they are.
Hold on. There's
So Hijab has now been sucked into because Piers has got him ever so slightly by saying to him, when he asked him how many people were killed, Hijab said, I don't know. Just like, and then Hijab Piers took advantage of that. He's like, oh, well, you don't know what you're talking about, then do you? Hijab speaking fast, and this is a mistake. And again, yeah, bro, listen, I'm just an armchair commentator. I have not been in a debate at this magnitude, yeah, where the heat is that hot, where the kitchen is that much on fire. I'm just saying, objectively, we can see the faster you speak, the less attention people are paying to you. So just remember that in your discussions with people in general, and particularly when you're dealing with your loved ones for that matter, is pay attention to the pace of the words that are coming out of your mouth, because the slower you speak, it has a hypnotic effect on the audience, on the ones listening to you. It's like they are waiting with bated breath at the next word that comes out of your mouth. Now, you can't speak in slow motion. You have to play with the rhythm. But speaking fast like this, it's just, you're losing it. Like if I spoke like this for the whole show, you literally you wouldn't be able to understand what I'm saying, and you get bored and you just change other. You'd watch something else. You understand the point that I'm making, and it also shows a sign of panic. Like I'm a bit panicked, and I'm running to catch up now. Because I'm panicked, I'm running to catch up and regain that lost momentum, that lost ground in the argument.
How many in Dresden?
Excuse me. Stop speaking.
How many in Dresden?
Am I speaking to him or
How
you?
many in Dresden?
Whatever the number,
You don't know
if
at
it's
all.
indiscriminate,
Okay.
I'm against it.
No, he doesn't.
That's
He
my
doesn't.
morality.
Rabbi Shmoley, you respond.
Dresden's about 25,000. And at the time, the Germans were saying 250,000. We know it's about 25,000 today. Let me be clear. Winston Churchill was the greatest statesman of the 20th century. He saved the world from
I agree.
Nazi terror.
Yeah.
That you could live in a country that is only around today because of the bravery of that man showing no gratitude is the height of
Stick on topic.
And to call all the British people who defeated the Nazis,
That's why I said this was a dangerous road to go down.
interrupting me.
Stick
Who
on topic.
defeated the
Please let each other
Nazis,
speak.
war criminals,
Stick on topic.
his parents, all the other people,
Off topic,
war
off
criminals.
topic, off
Let me ask Rabbi Shmoley a
Is
question.
wrong. No. Let me be clear. Let me
Don't interrupt each
be
other.
clear. Mohammed Hijab trades in falsehoods. 300 to 1. What are you talking
100
about?
to 1.
And now he says
said 100
now he says the Jews are about to kill 3 million Palestinians.
I didn't say they're about to. I said
the
if.
fact that this man considers it
And the rabbi lies a lot. You can see that even in this debate, he lies a lot to try and prove his point and get his point across. He lies a lot. He tells a lot of lies.
an Oxford academic. I was a rabbi at Oxford University for 11 years. This is a travesty.
Did you graduate from there?
This is a
Let me ask you a
travesty.
question,
graduate from
Rabbi
any
Shmoley.
university?
Wait a minute.
Did you graduate from any university?
I have a rabbinical
Did you graduate?
Let me answer.
You're excommunicated.
Let me answer.
Well, you're excommunicated.
Let me answer.
I saw you excommunicated from the
I am a
All right,
rabbinical.
honestly,
Can I speak?
this is pointless.
Go on.
Rabbi Shmoley, is there a limit to the number of civilians in Gaza that Israel can kill to try and
That's
eliminate
excellent question.
Hamas?
That's a great
Excellent
question.
There is.
What's the
Thank you,
limit?
but let me ask you.
Not even one. Not one beautiful Palestinian child should have
Here
to
comes
die
the
because
slimy
Hamas
response.
kicked out Mahmoud
That wasn't my
Abbas.
question.
And
Thank you. You know, and this is where I have to give Piers a plug. That wasn't my question. Stop trying to put it back on Hamas. Hamas are not the ones who are pulling your trigger fingers. Yeah, they're not the ones who are pulling your trigger-happy trigger fingers. Incredible. It's like me, yeah, like shooting up a school or something, and I'll be like, well, you know, they shouldn't have pissed me off. They shouldn't have pissed me off.
yeah, and not one should have to die. What the answer to your question is that Hamas, if they surrender unconditionally, then
Which they're not
all of
gonna
that.
do.
Okay, fine.
But is there a limit?
Then let them allow all the civilians.
Is there a limit?
Israel said that all the civilians can leave. All the civilians should go south. They begged them, and that's something that militaries never do. Churchill did not tell the people in Dresden, "Come on," and. You came with all your notes.
We get the point.
I'm not here.
We get the point, Mohammed. I get the point.
I get the point. This is all proof that he can't debate me. So he has to use these images. Debate me. We didn't ask you to come on with all your exhibits.
Rabbi Shmoley, let me ask you a question. A member of the cabinet in his
That he is pointing that out. We didn't ask you to come on with all of your exhibits. It's an indication that those exhibits have actually unnerved him, have thrown him off his game. He's complaining about it because it's thrown him off his game. He doesn't like the fact that he has to talk so much and so fast, whilst all Hijab does is hold up photos in quite a bored fashion, like, duh, it's obvious, genocide, hello, can't you see? And that is extremely irritating to the rabbi, but it's the truth. If you're irritated, you're only irritated with the truth. Like Tommy would say, bruv, from Ghost, or from Power. That sounds like a you problem. That's a you problem, homie.
Israel was actually quoted as saying that nuclear weapons were an option that Israel could use. No one's ever confirmed Israel has nuclear weapons. It's long been suspected. That seemed pretty clear confirmation.
Why are you against nuclear weapons?
Hang on.
If you're not against Dresden, why are you against nuclear weapons?
Let me ask the question.
No, but why are you against it?
I've done.
Did you see that? Did you know? Because I've pointed it out already before, but maybe there's some guys just tuning in now. I'm going to rewind it again and just pay attention. For those who've been here since the beginning, pay attention.
Israel has nuclear weapons. It's long been suspected. That seemed pretty clear confirmation.
Why are you against nuclear weapons?
Hang on.
If you're not against Dresden, why are you against nuclear weapons?
Let me ask the question. Let me ask.
No, but why are you against?
Mohammed interrupts him without any hesitation. Why are you against nuclear weapons? Not, excuse me, sir. What? May I ask a question? Like, why are you against nuclear weapons? Pay attention to the inflections in the voice. No, why are you against nuclear weapons? With a downwards inflection, like it's a matter of fact, like he's stating a fact, not asking a question. How did Piers respond? Pay attention to his voice.
Hang on. If you're not against Dresden, why are you against nuclear weapons?
Let me ask the question.
No, but why are you against?
Let me ask the question. He almost whispers it. The second time he said, he almost whispers it. The exasperated mum pulling her hair out. Please, Tommy. Let me ask the question, Tommy, please.
I've done this before, this job. Let me do it.
Go on.
Okay?
I've done this before, this job. I have to think of an equivalent for that. Tommy, I know what I'm doing. I've been driving for 15 years, Tommy. Let me do my job and drive us home. That's what that was.
So when that guy says that, if you're living as an innocent civilian in Gaza, what the hell are you thinking? That an Israeli government member threatens the use of a nuclear weapon, which would obliterate pretty much all of Gaza and everyone in it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the question. If that were true, why hasn't Israel used nuclear weapons against Nasser when he invaded?
It's true.
Well, hold on.
It's true this guy threatened
and the answer is no. I know the guy, and I spoke to him about it. His name is Amichai Eliyahu. Israel has never carpet bombed any Arab.
Hang on, Mohammed.
Ever. Now.
1967 was preemptive.
He was asked a question by a provocative interview, and he said, well, if you're going to bomb the same thing, it was like it was a Mohammed Hijab type. You want to kill all the Arabs, 3 million people, just drop a bomb. He said, well, if you want to drop a bomb, drop a bomb. He was being dismissive and stupid, and he put out a statement the next day saying that never in history would the Jews...
No, he wasn't being stupid and dismissive. It was a Freudian slip. You know what Freudian slip is? The mask slipped by accident because he got exasperated himself and annoyed and angry. It requires effort to keep up appearances. If you're old enough, you'll know that program. I used to watch that growing up, Keeping Up Appearances, Hyacinth. Showing my age now. Anyway, it requires effort to keep the mask on and pretend to be civil and polite and civilized and to not be a human animal, as you like to put it. The mask slipped. Just drop upon them. Oh, fuck it, I'm finished. Like Tommy's mum. That's Tommy's mum. She gets exact same thing. Freudian slip. He meant every bar of that statement.
Ever even contemplate doing that? Let's remember one thing: the only place in the Middle East. One second, Piers. The only place in the Middle East where Arabs have any freedoms, Israel. The only place where they vote openly, Israel. The only place where Palestinian women can dress the way they want, Israel. And let's be clear: when Mohammed Hijab gets up and says that we Palestinians want to be a religion of death, you know, I just got a haircut coming here by an Arab barber here in London, and he said to me, I hope you defeat this guy because he doesn't represent us. We want to live. We want to have good lives. We want to be religious. We want to eat halal, but we don't want to die for martyrdom. You are not a Muslim. You're an Islamist. You're an Islamist.
Calm down. This is how I talk to my kids, bro. Calm down, Habibi, please. Yani. I'm trying to talk to Ammo. Yeah, please, can you leave the adults? Don't play with your toys in the corner. Calm down.
Let me ask Mohammed a question. Hamas has 240 hostages. Hamas has 240 hostages they took, including babies, young kids, grandmothers who survived the Holocaust. I mean, an unspeakable further criminal act. We can agree, right?
Of course.
Why should Israel agree to any ceasefire so long as those hostages are still being kept hostage?
Look, my position is very clear. They should fight man to man on the ground. On the ground.
Well, they are.
That fighting.
That's exactly what they're doing.
That fighting, no one can. This is
Mohammed, that's exactly what they're doing.
I know.
Man to man, they took hostages.
Excuse me.
They took babies as hostages.
He's asked me the question.
They took infants as hostages.
Let him answer the question.
You're getting excited here. I know it's your sexual incline. You're the sex rabbi.
Now you're back to my sex.
Leave it.
You're getting overexcited.
Leave it.
You're getting overexcited with me. He's getting excited with me.
Let me ask the questions. You guys answer them. Mohammed, answer my question. Why, if you're Israel, would you ever agree to a ceasefire if those hostages aren't released?
I'm telling you what my position is. My position is man-to-man combat.
Which is what they're doing now.
No, that part of it is understandable. Do you understand?
That's what they're doing.
No problem. But what I think is not understandable, what is not acceptable, because you said, what's a proportionate response? That's the question you keep asking everybody. My answer to you is a proportionate response is one where in which the ratios are not 100 to 1.
That's
on the
your invention.
Excuse me, please.
Where does that come from? What's your source?
Okay,
tell me the source. Tell me the source.
IDF.
The IDF. Yeah, sure. Tell me when did they say it? I know all the IDF spokespersons. I know Jonathan Conricus. Daniel Hagari said what? When?
Okay, so let me
no.
Excuse me.
When did he say we're killing Palestinians 100 to 1?
10 days ago, and it's mentioned on a website. I'll tell you
the truth is, they don't.
He never said this is pure fabrication.
Let me finish. You asked me the source.
Which website?
You asked me the source.
Which website?
You asked me the source.
Al Jazeera?
No.
Is it Al Jazeera?
You've asked me a question, right?
Okay.
Are you scared to hear the response?
Go ahead.
Okay, the response is as follows.
Thank you very much. I'm glad that he said that. You've asked me a question. Are you scared to hear the response? What did I say at the beginning of the stream, earlier on in the stream? The only time somebody is disinclined to answer your questions is when they are scared that by answering the question, they'll defeat their own argument. Equally here, asking the question and then not allowing him to answer the very question that he asked, he's scared that he's going to give him an answer that he won't be able to come back from. It's the same thing.
The Guardian has reported that the IDF have said that in terms of the numbers of Hamas that have been killed, I'm answering this question.
I know.
The Hamas that have been killed, they say, quote unquote, dozens. Now listen.
That was
Hamas
actually-
or
wait a
civilians?
minute.
You said civilians.
No,
Wait a minute.
You said civilians.
Wait a
Well,
minute.
I'm telling you where I got the 100 to 1 ratio.
Mohammed.
100 to 1 ratio
The
comes from
numbers,
it.
the numbers have
There's
dramatically.
10,000
The
numbers-
10,000 civilians,
the numbers have-
60. It's actually more than
You know,
100
as
to
soon
1.
as you
Let
call
me-
him out on
let
me-
anything, he has
let me-
no
more than 100 to
sources.
1.
He has
No one can hear what
primary
you're
sources.
saying.
Okay,
Let me respond to him.
this is a blood
Let me
libel,
respond.
Piers. The
I'm
Jews
about-
have a right to respond
about
to a blood
to question
libel.
him.
It's a blood libel.
Here's the reality. I read that report. That was about at least 2 weeks ago,
Yeah,
right?
10 days, yeah.
The numbers have changed a lot.
Yes, they have.
Israel now believe they've killed a lot more Hamas. They don't know exactly how many, because actually, how do you tell on the ground
By the way,
sometimes
Piers,
to the
one
Hamas
thing.
fighter
Do
and
you
a
know,
member of the
can I say
general
something?
population?
Do you know, according to the IDF, and we've done a study on the name that they put on X, they had 1,280 names that they put on X, and according to Haaretz, they put Haaretz is, as you know, is a left-wing newspaper in Israel. They also put the names of those who have been killed. Guess what? According to them, 340 military have been killed, which means Hamas's ratio of combatant to non-combatant is 3 to 1.
All right.
Imagine Hamas is doing a better job in protecting civilians than Israel. 3 to 1.
I would say that Hamas, by what they did on October the 7th,
100 to 1 versus 3 to 1.
Wait a minute.
Maths.
Wait a minute.
Maths.
Wait a minute. Ordered by doing what they did, they ordered de facto the disintegration of northern Gaza that we're seeing.
Of course.
And
all the civilians
and the
suffering.
deaths
Of
Have you
course.
seen
and the
this?
deaths
Piers,
of
sure.
thousands
Let him
of
finish,
civilians.
Let him finish.
They knew what was going to happen.
I agree with that.
Piers,
So that's
Piers,
why they
Piers,
should go.
Piers,
Rabbi
in
Shmoley.
2005, Israel unilaterally withdrew from Gaza and allowed, Hamas won an election in 2006. They could have built Singapore. You know what they did? They took larger foreign aid per capita than all of Europe received from the Marshall Plan. And look what France and Britain, look how beautiful London is. They took that money and they bought bullets and bombs. They did not build hospitals, not schools. They stole it from the Palestinian people. Ismail Haniyeh is worth $4 billion.
To protect the man. I don't care about
Khalid
I'm not
Mashal
protecting
is
him.
worth
He's not
$4
protecting the man.
billion.
Why are you
Then
talking about
call him
I don't
an
need to
evil
call him
criminal.
anything. I
You're
don't need
afraid
to call him
He says he
anything.
won't. You see, he will never condemn Hamas because
He has condemned
no,
Hamas.
go ahead.
I have.
Call
I've heard him do it.
Excuse me.
Wait, no. He condemned
This is too much
Hamas's
now.
attack. He's
How many
never
times?
condemned Hamas.
Well, let me ask you, do you condemn Hamas?
On what basis?
Here we
Okay.
go.
No,
See,
hold on.
play his
On what
Do
game.
you
basis?
accept now that
Let
they
me
are...
ask you a question.
Every
No, hold
answer
on,
is
hold
on what
No,
basis?
no,
On what this?
no,
On
no.
this? What's your
No,
source?
let him
Even
answer.
if you ask me, if you do condemn the IDF, I'd say specify your context. In what exact context do I...
Do you defend Hamas as a terrorist organization that just went and killed 1,200 people, burned them alive, beheaded them, and took 250 hostages?
You know, I can't emphasize enough how important it is, the hijab, these facial expressions, this lack of effort into the energy. It's so important that he did this, and he did do it. It's so important because it minimizes the importance of the individual that you're dealing with. And I have no doubt, I haven't spoken to him, but I have no doubt that this was one of the aims of this debate, was to make this individual seem like a nobody, like he's a nothing, like you're not even worth my effort, you're not even a worthy adversary, because a worthy adversary would have to come in the debating world with legitimate arguments or legitimate points. But when you're so far removed from being on the right side of the fence, you're so far on that side of the fence, I can't give you too much effort and energy in my responses, because if I do, I am only adding legitimacy to your argument, to your point of view, and to your position. The more effort I expend in doing that, the more legitimate I make you look. And this pattern repeats itself for the duration of the interview. And I think for the most part, I've covered the most of the things. I don't want to keep letting this thing run for too long without me adding commentary, because then I could have issues on the back end with YouTube and all the rest of it. But nevertheless, some very powerful body language and power dynamics that Muhammad Hijab successfully weaponized against the rabbi, the sex rabbi, which basically apparently is what he is. And again, I have to repeat at the conclusion of this what I said at the beginning, which is how you say or present your argument is more important than what you say and the argument itself. The argument itself is of secondary importance to the actual way that you're delivering it and saying it. And some of this can be learned. A lot of it is probably innate, like we have just natural born actors, for example. And you'll notice with Hijab himself that according to who he's speaking to, he will adopt a different persona. For example, when he was talking to Piers the first time around, he was very much on the offensive. On this occasion here, and he's dealing with Piers in a more amenable manner, but with the rabbi, he's dealing with him like he's a child, like it's one of his children. And please, it's wasting my time. I'm watching the news. Please, can you be quiet? Like that. In other instances, he's taken adopted the figure of a teacher. For example, when he had an interview with Sneeko before Sneeko became Muslim, it was very much teacher-student type relationship, and you could see that in the way that he was talking. It was not like we're equals here. No, it's like I'm the teacher because I'm the Muslim, and you're the student because you're the non-Muslim, and I'm teaching you about the religion. That was the dynamic. On another podcast that he had with Mark Tilbury, Strike It Big, the way he presented himself in that manner was we're equals, because it was not a discussion about religion. It was not a discussion about politics. It was a discussion for the most part about business. Granted, Muhammad did do his dawah and all the rest of it, but it was more of an open, what do you think? Oh, you tell me. So you tell me about business. That's your world. So it was more of you could say probably the real Muhammad Hijab, for that matter, how he probably is in everyday life with his friends, for example. And from what we have seen, whenever he does podcasts with his friends on YouTube, different what should we say, different roles for different people, for different individuals, according to what the circumstance dictates. No, you can't always be nice. And if you don't like this way that Hijab presents himself every now and then with certain types of individuals, that is most probably because you yourself don't have much of an appetite for confrontation. You're just not confrontationally inclined, and that's okay. But don't criticize an individual when you see them behaving in that manner just because you can't deal with it or you can't handle it, because there is an audience of individuals who not just you should speak to them like that, you must speak to them like that. Hence why you can see he's earned Piers' respect. I'm telling you, Piers doesn't just respect him, he fears him, because he knows that he's gonna get hit with as good as he attempts to hit with. He can't bully Hijab. In fact, if we want to use the term bully, he will get out bullied by Hijab if he tries to go down that route, which is probably why he's trying to go down the more amenable route and be a bit more quote unquote reasonable. Anyways, man, grab these super chats real quick. Shout out to Eric, appreciate it. Thank you for the $10 super chat, my man. Shout out to Saifullah for the £5 super chat. Jazakallah khair. Abdullah says the rabbi is raging like a little school kid. Absolutely. Omar, assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah khair for the $5 super chat. Absolutely loving the stuff in the Janissary community. May Allah bless you, my guy. Jazakallah khair. I appreciate you, my man. The Janissaries is my private community, men only, where we discuss a whole bunch of things, including power dynamics. I have over 20 chapters of the 48 laws of power commentated upon in the Janissaries, exclusively in the Janissaries, alongside a lot of other content, and of course the community chats as well. So if you're looking for a private community of like-minded men, if you enjoyed this commentary that I provided you with here today over the past hour and a half, and you want to hear more on that, then have a look at the description. You will find the link there shortly. I'll put it there right now, and I'll see you inside there. And on that note, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.